What's going on, everybody? David Barnett of the Tour Junkies, and we are back for another edition of Tour Junkies After Dark. We are talking about the CJ Cup. This is a fantastic event. You have the top 60 in the FedEx Cup from last season, and you've got some sponsors exemptions, 18 sponsors exemptions for a total of 78 players in the field, a no-cut event. A very interesting tournament, but a lot of good names here. This is a good field, an interesting golf course. Pat and I are going to get into it. We've got a little bit of disagreement from the podcast that we just recorded. Very little, though, actually. There's a ton of agreement.
Not a lot.
Yeah. We don't talk about our picks beforehand, but we apparently like a few guys. But I've got a couple. I got a couple guys that I'm gonna throw your way that I didn't understand. And then we're going to talk a little DK Sportsbook, and we're going to talk about some bets. I've got some special bets tonight. I'm actually very excited about. Very special bets. They're in the special bets section of tonight's podcast.
Oh, so the special bets section.
The special bets.
Not
that's what they are.
Not just the bets section, but the special bets section.
Correct.
Okay. I'm looking forward to hearing what those are.
Yeah, but before we do that, why don't you tell, let's educate the listener on the golf course that is the host site for the CJ Cup.
Yeah, so we're at the CJ Cup. This is at the club at 9 Bridges, which actually only has 8 bridges, and the 9th bridge is some sort of like alternate world feeling bridge that brings something of zen to you. But anyway, it's a par 72. It is playing just under 7,200 yards. Bent grass greens this week, actually bent fairways as well. You got Kentucky Bluegrass rough. It's a very American-style course. Played at altitude. This is a resort course. Played at 3,500 feet above square feet.
Above sea level?
Only said above sea level. Only said square feet, but that was if you go back and listen to the podcast, you'll get the square feet thing. Anyway, the course is very exposed to the wind, which is key here, because if there is a lot of wind, if the wind be blowing, it's going to play difficult. But guess what? I don't think it's going to be blowing all that much. I mean, you saw in 2017 here, which was the first time they played here, it was the 4th most difficult course on tour, and that was because of the wind. But then 2018, they were scoring like crazy here. It was the 31st most difficult, and we're not seeing a lot of wind right now in the forecast. I do think Bombers have an advantage. You saw Brooks Koepka just bomb his way around this course last year and win in 2018 with no, nothing to worry about as far as the wind's concerned. It's, par 5 scoring, I think, is going to be key. You got 4 par 5s here that are all playing under 600 yards. You've also got 2 drivable par 4s on this course. So I think that's something to look at as well. It'll be a fun event, no cut this week. So everybody's got 4 rounds to compete. You want to look at your scores. You definitely want to look at ownership on DraftKings. You want to see, check your sites that you like to look at and see what ownership is going to look like, because as far as your tournament lineups are concerned, you're going to have to differentiate yourself from the field, and ownership is going to be the main key to do that. So there you go. That's your quick course breakdown.
Love it, Pat. Very good. Jeju is a wonderful spot. It's a wonderful place. South Korea. Don't want to tip into North Korea.
Have you been there?
You might not come back.
Have you been there?
No, I have not. No, okay. I have not.
I was just wondering.
But it looks lovely on postcards. For sure in tournaments, ownership leverage is key, more so than almost anything. I wouldn't overcook it with stats and getting all in the weeds with that. Don't overcook that. It's ownership. It's the ability for a guy to score, go low. It's value and pricing on DraftKings. You have had your Brooks Koepka and JT win in only 2 events. That's a pretty small sample size for golf, so I don't necessarily think that it's gonna tend to produce a very short odds kind of winner here. I think you can dip into the longer odds, as we'll get into a little bit later. This course is pretty open. You got to have guys that are going to hit it well. They're going to strike their balls well and with consistency. And they're going to take advantage of the short par 4s and par 5s, like you said. They're going to putt well on bent grass. So there you go. And I like form coming into this. I like a guy who knows what his golf ball is doing right now, because he's been hitting it lately and he knows how far it's going. He can adjust towards altitude. He's making birdies. He's been putting. And not that these guys don't practice. Like, obviously, I know they practice, but to do it in tournament conditions is something I like to see before this event kicks off. It's a strong field. It's not like you're playing against a bunch of, powder puff golfers from God knows where here. Like you gotta bring your game a little bit here. And therefore, I'm not sure I'm all in on the Jason Day call. We haven't seen Jason Day since like before the FedEx playoffs, I'm pretty sure. I just, there's not much to write home about. We know he's one of the world's best putters. I get that. But even last season, the ball striking wasn't great. Obviously, he's a big name in the 9K range on DraftKings. It's kind of sexy. But other than that, I can't get down with there was no disagreement with the Jason Day call.
God, it was so easy to tell where you were going. Like, you totally set that up. You're like,
because I'm right.
I'm going after recent form guys. Blah 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 blah. Like that. Like I always like just the blah 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 part. I knew you were going with Jason Day. And here's the thing. Look, I don't care that we haven't seen him play all that much lately. He's number one in the field in strokes gained putting on bent grass greens. When you look at over 100 rounds, which I think if you're going to look at who putts well on bent grass, you don't just look at the last several events. You got to look at like a lot of events, see how they
100
are
rounds would do that, yeah.
Would do that, and he's number one in the field, so he obviously puts well on this service. He checks the box in strokes gained off the tee, par 5 scoring, and this is over the last 24 rounds that he's played, tournament events. Also in driving distance, we know he's got plenty of distance. So look, I don't care that we haven't seen him. I'm okay with that. Because there's a lot of players that we're going to get in this time of year that are going to have taken a break. They've gone to the Bahamas or whatever. Well, sorry, the Bahamas is probably not a good example because God bless them, they had a bad hurricane hit. But have gone on vacations and stuff like that. And, we haven't seen them play. But that's okay. They're rested. They're refreshed. Look, don't you want a Jason Day that's rested and refreshed?
Yeah, that is true.
Do you want sick Jason Day that's just like with the sniffles and we don't know what the hell's going on with him because he's got some injury or whatever? Look, he's rested, he's refreshed, he's ready to go. He's at 9,500 on DraftKings. I think it's a good price for him. And you know what? No, he's not going to be high owned in this field. No way. With Rafa Cabrera,
he's not
right there
going to be
behind him.
You're right.
With Sung J M right there at 9,700. In this 9K range, I think he's going to be one of the lowest owned guys here. So I like that for tournament plays. So that is why Jason Day's my guy here. I'm all in on him.
You may have sold me on a well rested. Maybe he's been on a Z pack. Maybe he's getting his vitamin C. You may have sold me on the well rested Jason Day. I may could bite on that.
Okay. Well, what I want to know, and it's because we didn't have a whole lot of disagreement in this area, because I was with you on taking Justin Thomas. And by the way, typically you are not the guy to take the highest priced player, and you were on JT this week. But I do want to know about your thoughts about Spieth, because we didn't talk about Jordan Spieth one iota on the podcast, but because in this 9K at least range and above, we didn't have a whole lot of disagreement. I need to know your thoughts on Jordan Spieth. What do you play him? Do you see has he turned a corner? I don't know. I think it's an interesting question for this week.
I actually think in DFS, obviously on DraftKings in tournaments, if you want to play Jordan, I don't hate it. I mean, I think that there's obviously we talked about tournament leverage, GPP leverage, which I think Jordan will give you. I don't think a lot of people are going to be picking him here. The fairways here at Nine Bridges are fairly generous. They're not super tight, and that has been one of Jordan's biggest problems. Big problem. We know he can get the putter rolling. He putts very well on bent grass, very, very well on bent grass. And the putter was rolling anyway towards the end of the year. It wasn't the putter that was the problem.
The putter wasn't an issue.
And it'll be interesting. I mean, this is his first event we've seen him since since playoffs. And he didn't make East Lake, so it'll be interesting to see him. I think you can play him in DFS. Am I gonna play him in a cash in like a lower volume or lower entry cash contest? Probably not. Would I bet him? Probably not. But would I throw him in a tournament lineup? Sure. I'd rather get my leverage with Spieth than trying to get too cute and play one of these Koreans that you haven't heard of. And the reason you haven't heard of them is because they're not good enough to play on the European Tour, the PGA Tour, but they've got an exemption because of something they've done on the Asian Tour or the Korean PGA or whatever. Like, I'd rather play him over any of those guys for sure.
Okay.
Which obviously they're not even in the same category, but I'm just saying, like, I would rather find leverage there than try to get cute down low and try to find tournament leverage. So, are you going to play him?
All right. I'll probably get suckered into him into a few lineups. I just like I don't know, but here's a guy that I'm not playing. I'm going to throw. I'm throwing this guy at you. You loved him on the podcast, and that is Corey Connors. It's 78.
Yeah, I knew that was
7,800.
Yeah.
Yes, T13 at the Safeway just a few weeks ago, but a miscut before that. I just don't know. I feel like Corey Connors is getting way too much talk this time of year. Look, I mean, he's going to check boxes. If you're just going in, looking at stats and things like that, I think Corey Connors is probably going to be the guy. But I still think he's going to be higher owned than he probably should be. I think everybody's going to be talking about him. He just stands out in that range where he is. I mean, if you look at guys like he's at 7,800, you got Sabatini around him, you got Poulter around him, you got Howell, Perez, whatever. There's, not a whole lot of great options around him. And so I think everybody's going to be looking at Connors. He's going to be over-owned this week. And I'm a little worried about that. And look, like I said, it's hard to fault you if you're looking at stats for him. But I need some real interest. Like, I need some real reasons to play this guy. Because I just feel like he's going to disappoint. He's going to be that guy that I look back at this week that screws up my lineup. That's what I'm thinking about Corey Connors.
Well, he's not. Unless you're like really withdraws, like he's not gonna. He's a scoring kind of player. He's tremendous tee to green. He's one of the best iron players on the PGA Tour. When you look at over his last 12, 10, 5, 10, 20, even his career long on the PGA Tour with those events, he is always in every category off the tee and approach gained strokes. Now, sometimes the putter is flat, but that you could say that for a lot of guys. And so it comes down to, will the putter be average? Will it be, if the putter is just average, then he could light this place up because tee to green is a stud. He struggled
on bent grass greens too. That's the problem too.
Well, yeah, but he struggles on every green surface. But his worst surface is POA. When you look at it historically, his worst surface is POA. So at least it's not bent. That's a plus. But in his last 10 events, okay, 10 events, he's only missed 3 cuts. But he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 top 30s. So in the 7s that he's made the cut, in the 7 times he's made the cut out of the last 10 events, he's finished top 30. His upside is very strong. He's a winner on the PGA Tour. As you mentioned, he does check every single box. He's number one in this field over the last 12 rounds in strokes gained off the tee. Number 2 in greens in regulation. Number 8 in strokes gained approach. The guy's a ball striking fool. So it all comes down to the putter. That's all it comes down to. And I'll take my chances in a no cut event at $7,800. I'll eat the chalk. I do think Corey Connors could be a little chalky, but he's chalk I'm eating in tournaments, and I would be delighted to play him in cash if necessary. I would be just absolutely tickled pink. So there you go.
Okay, good. All right. You may have sold me a little bit on him.
Yeah, I think I should have sold you. Let's get into some DK Sportsbook discussion. As a matter of fact, Corey Connors is on my DK Sportsbook card at 110 to 1. All right, we didn't talk about this. So I kind of mentioned 78 players in the field, 60 from the FedEx Cup rankings, 18 exemptions. A lot of those exemptions they've awarded to Korean players, Asian players that make their living playing in mini tours or trying to get to the PGA, trying to get to the European Tour. But at the end of the day, the top half of this field is very, very strong. It's not super strong top to bottom, but the top half of this field is very strong. You've got a big purse. This is a money grab kind of event with no cut. You've got some great players. So That being said, you can eliminate probably all but, I mean, there are 50 guys in this field I think can win. I think there are 50 guys that I think could win this golf tournament. And Corey Connors, since we're just talking about him, is 110 to 1 on DraftKings to win. He's a proven winner. Everything I just talked about, 110 to 1. Yeah, I think I'll take that. But the shortest odds I'm looking at right now on DraftKings are Matthew Wolff at 50 to 1. I like Matt Wolff. I like Harold Varner III at 80 to 1. I like Keith Mitchell at 200 to 1. Proven winner on tour, won the Honda Classic, bomber, played here last time, or played very well last year. I think he finished top 15 or so. Scores well on par fives. He did miss the cut in his first event back after the playoffs, but that's very much a shake the rust off kind of event. We know a little bit about Keith Mitchell. We know he enjoyed his offseason. The Shriners was shaking the rust off, okay? So I like Keith Mitchell there at 200 to 1. Other than that, I've got Wyndham Clark, but I've got him at a top 5 bet. I don't want to bet him to win because I know he won't win. And I can't quit him, so it's hard. So a top 5 bet on DraftKings at 50 to 1, I like that. And then I'm going to save my special bets for you. I'm going to save those until after you give me yours, after you're done wiping yourself.
All right, so I'm going to start with my shortest guy, and that's Sergio Garcia at 30 to 1. I like him this week. I think he's a good DraftKings play. I think he's a good bet at 30 to 1. Also, another good, I think, and this guy almost made my cut as far as the podcast was concerned, and I'm scared to play him. And I don't know, I don't know. I'm scared on DraftKings, but I want to place a bet on him, and that's Cam Smith at 35 to 1. So
Ooh.
I like that as well.
I like that number.
Also, Luke List at 75 to 1.
I'm okay with that.
Siwoo Kim at 140 to 1. Going to go with him there. And then the longest odds I like are Adam Long at 225 to 1. We've seen Adam play extremely well this fall with 3 straight top 25 finishes. I think this is a good course for him. So I like Adam Long also at 225 to 1. This course kind of has that West Coast feel to me, like we see in the West Coast swing, and that's what happened. Like he kind of jumped out of nowhere last year, won a tournament on the West Coast. So I think Adam Long at 225 to 1. I mean, it's like you say, if you're gonna take a guy in that long of odds, take a proven winner, a guy that's actually won on tour. So I like that. So there you go. That's what I got.
Okay. So do you want to hear about my special bets before we go?
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm excited for your special.
Well, I'm loving the DraftKings offerings, and they've stepped it up a notch. You've got the French Open, or however you say it, over there on the European Tour. So they've got the European Tour odds out there, and they've got obviously the PGA Tour odds with the CJ Cup. And you can parlay your winners there for a little doubles action, which is what I really like. I think is very interesting. Maybe a little quarter unit on a couple of these, just to give you a little sweat here. So I'm picking favorites, but even picking favorites, if you hit both of them, major payout. I'm going to start with Justin Thomas and Jordan Smith as a doubles parlay. So you're picking Justin Thomas to win the CJ Cup, Jordan Smith to win the French whatever thing we're talking about, and that double pays out 165 to 1. Jordan Smith is maybe the 6th or 7th guy in terms of betting odds in the favorite, so he's definitely considered a favorite. And obviously Justin Thomas is the favorite for the CJ Cup. But then it gets real fun. I love me some Rafa Cabrera Bello here at the CJ Cup. He has been playing lights out. I think he could easily win this golf tournament. And I'm going to pair him with 2 different doubles, one with Eric Van Rooyen on the European Tour, who's been killing it this year. And again, Jordan Smith, who I just mentioned. The EVR bet pays at 389 to 1 on the double. And RCB and Jordan Smith pays at 493 to 1. So I'm a little interested in those doubles. And then one last little section of doubles here. Sung Jae Im, the Korean, absolutely phenomenal player, has played so good in the last 12 months. In fact, he just won in Korea last week at the Korean PGA. Very interesting turn of events there that he won that event. He's so close to winning a big event. He's just such a stud. I'm going to pair him with a fellow Frenchman who's been, well, not fellow Frenchman because M's not French, but a Frenchman who's been playing really, really well himself in Michael Lorenzo Vera. That is a 464-1 double. And then I'm also going to pair M with EVR, Eric Van Rooyen, who I mentioned, also at 464-1. So little doubles action there.
I'm assuming these are very small bets that you're placing here. You're
very small, like
a ton of units here.
Not even
a quarter unit.
A quarter unit would even be probably considered generous. But yeah, I'm not very, very small bets. So yeah, JT and Jordan Smith, RCB and EVR, RCB and Jordan Smith, M and Lorenzo Vera, and M and Eric Van Rooyen. That's where I'm going. You like that? If one of those hits, then I'm a freaking god on TJ After Dark for like the next year, and people will just be thanking you. You will, yeah. And then I can just tell people how badly they missed out on that when they miss out on it. So
bad, like your shirt. I mean, like your hat that you're wearing.
Yeah, like my hat. Bad. That's my golf game. Anything else, Pat? We good?
No, that's all I got.
All right. Well, back next week.
This week.
Got the Zozo Championship next week. A new event we'll be breaking down. Should be a lot of fun. And hope you guys have a great week. May your screens be green. Thanks for checking out DraftKings Tour Junkies After Dark. Check out the podcast as well, wherever you listen to podcasts, the Tour Junkies podcast. It's incredible. So, thank you. See ya.
Out.